Hello, welcome back to a brand episode of Two Please. I'm your host Abhin.
And I'm your co-host Rohit.
Guys, there is no intro, man. This is the greatest action movie ever made. This is Terminator motherfucking 2, Judgment Day.
Dun 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 dun.
Let's start the show. All right, Terminator 2. For many in our age bracket, this is probably the first action movie we ever saw on television. I know we remember
Yeah.
to a certain degree. I think this is Arnold Schwarzenegger is the first American, as ironic we say that, action hero that we'd ever seen on screen.
I'm just trying to jog my memory. But yeah, you're probably right.
So, Terminator 2 stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, Edward Furlong, Robert Patrick, directed by James Cameron, released in the year 1991 as a sequel to the 1984 original The Terminator, again starring Linda Hamilton and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Michael Biehn, I think, who plays Kyle Reese.
Yeah.
So this movie came 7 years after the original in 1991. A very important thing happened in 1991. Rohit and I were born. So this
Yeah.
podcast would not have happened if it weren't for
The year.
1991.
Imagine if they just skipped the year,
year.
we wouldn't be here. What
Great
a
year for
bizarre
movies, dude. That
train
year.
of thought too. Yeah. A great year for movies. We also had Silence of the Lambs, which again I'm going to come back to when we discuss themes.
This was the second highest grossing film of that year. What was the first?
Not Life is Beautiful.
No. Life is Beautiful, I think, is a little older.
87. Yeah.
Not a foreign language film either. It's an American movie.
Animation. What was the animation? I don't know.
The year 91, the highest grossing film in 1991 was Beauty and the Beast.
I was just going to say, but that's kind of weird. Dude.
Yeah, weird thing. Imagine Terminator 2, like highest grossing. I mean, one of the highest grossing R-rated films of all time, but no competition to Beauty and the Beast, unfortunately. This was also the year James Cameron was undergoing a divorce from his wife, Catherine Bigelow, who also had a movie this year.
Point Break.
Point Break. Yes.
Damn, what a year.
Really, right?
Yeah.
Like Point Break, I think wasn't the top 10 most wasn't the top 10 most grossing films of all time, but was in the top 50 at least, if I remember correctly.
It's seeped into the
cultural zeitgeist. Oh man, Point Break is no. I have a very bad history with Point Break, but let's not get into it. Anyway,
yes.
So
coming back to Terminator 2. Moving on from the glorious year that was 1991, let's dive into the film. First impressions. I mean,
where does one start? This movie underscores the word epic, right? Like it opens, the opening credits is like a freeway that turns into this weird post-apocalyptic world where the robots are walking, and Brad Fiedel's theme kicks in. My goodness, what a way to start off your film.
It's just one note. It's just the cadence of the notes.
Yeah.
It's not like yeah, it's the same note.
And there's like a small horn that's playing in the background. That horn is the one that's building up the tension.
Yeah.
And it zooms into the eyes of the Terminator, and then it goes directed by James Cameron. And you're in for this ride. I think if there ever was the definitive action movie experience, this probably is it.
That's a good way to put it. And I'm for my first impressions, I'm going back to what you said a little earlier, which is this is probably one of the earliest action movies that we have either seen or recall, right? If I were to classify Jurassic Park as also an action movie, my earliest memory that I can think of watching a movie is watching The Lost World, I think, or the original Jurassic Park in theaters. But Terminator 2 is a close second. I don't think kids should be allowed to watch this movie because
again, like this is a testament of how many shits 90s parents ever
gave. 90s parenting,
because this movie was on television. Yeah, the movie was on television all the time. It's fucking terrifying. Nightmare food for children.
Especially again, we'll revisit this deeper in the memorable moments bit, but especially the Judgment Day scene, right, where the whole blast happens and you got the skeletons holding I'm like, what the
I have thoughts on that scene. We'll get to it in the memorable moment section.
Yeah, that and the parts where the T-1000 melts and enters through gaps and reforms. I remember as a kid thinking, damn, why can't we do that? Like, this is so cool. Is there any way I can do that? I'm like, no. At that point, I was too young to like understand how physics comes in the way of cool shit, right? I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
why can't we do this? What's stopping us? But
Uh,
yeah, those are our first impressions. Uh, Nice little segue into memorable moments because we just were talking about one of the moments that we do want to discuss. In fact, let's dive in with that first, right? The Judgment Day
sure.
sequence, and these people are standing in what looks like a playground, and they're just like holding onto this metal railing, and this heat wave comes, and they just become skeletons. Like, and immediate this is like within the first 20 minutes of the movie, or like first 10
No,
minutes, I
this
guess.
is no, not even the first 10 minutes. This happens after the escape from the asylum. So this is when she decides to go after Dyson. So
Oh, yeah,
this
yeah,
is the
yeah.
scene. So she's sleeping. She sees this in a dream. So this
Correct,
is I
correct.
watched this movie like 2 days ago in prep for this episode. So it's a
But
little
when
fresh.
she sees it in the
Um,
dream is fairly early on in the movie, right? Because I remember this
it's
imagery
no, I
is
think it's
fairly.
about 25. It's
Yeah,
when they
that's
go
what.
to pick up the guns
Hmm.
from like her friend in the desert, and she's napping there for a bit. That's where she first sees it.
Oh, okay.
She has that
Where
vision. Hmm.
for me, that is probably the most enduring image of this. There's so many, but this is the one that's scarred me the most. I'm just like, what the hell? What, like half an hour into this movie, I'm like, what am I watching?
Apparently, that is the most realistic depiction of what nuclear holocaust looks like. Like I
Oh
think
yeah,
they were recognized by a board that mentioned that moment, and it's terrifying. I watched it like recently, and again, I went back to the point about 90s kids being raised by 90s parents. How did they let this get on television and nobody said a thing? It was beautiful. Like Linda Hamilton holding on to the fence, and like as she melts, and like her skin turns black, is pure nightmare fuel. Uh,
yeah, but
and the
also very
kids and the
accurate.
buildings, just like paper mache buildings, just wiping off, and I was like, wow, Godzilla eat your heart out. What we should do, and we should ideally try tie up BTS with the memorable moments because there are several. So a quick summary of for the film for those of you who don't know what this movie is about. Like, come on, guys. Um, Basically, a Terminator is sent back in time to kill John Connor, who is the leader of the Resistance. In the future, there's a AI called Skynet that has taken over the world, and there's a resistance led by this dude called John Connor that's fighting them. So, in a bid to win the war against the Resistance, Skynet sends back a Terminator to kill John Connor. I think in 1992, I'll put up a year, or 91. I'll put up the year here. The Resistance manages to catch a hold of another Terminator. They reprogram him and send him back to protect him. That's the summary of the film. In terms of like memorable moments, we obviously talk about the bar sequence where Arnold first arrives, and he walks butt naked into like this Hell's Angels kind of bar, and he goes up to the guy and tells him,
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
and then it kicks off this whole fight in a bar, and he walks out uh, with the glasses, puts the glasses on, and then drives off.
Remind me if the T-1000 also, when he comes to the past, is he also naked?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Why can't Skynet figure out how to teleport? Oh, no, whatever. Oh,
Mm.
ignore. Let's go. Go on, then you can teleport people
Uh,
back in time. You can't send clothes along with it. What the fuck? Okay, put it in a bag. Why do you have to get there naked, bro? So inconvenient.
Uh, the second scene being the arcade sequence, where the shotgun and the rose box
So ungainly the way he
between.
takes the shotgun out of the rose box.
So okay, now here's a wonderful bit of BTS. So this is something that never occurred to us, right, growing up, because a lot of us saw this and then went and watched Terminator One. I don't think
Hmm.
if you're a '90s kid, it's very rarely like you watched Terminator One and then seen Terminator Two. And Terminator One is a pure horror film, and Arnold is the bad guy in it.
Yeah.
So they hid the reveal that he was the good guy in this film until the last trailer. And there are some people who didn't see the last trailer. They thought, and they kind of, I think the initial trailers kind of positioned Arnold as the bad guy who's running after like Linda Hamilton. And nobody knew who this Robert Patrick character was, right? So that scene, which brings me to my next memorable moment, which is in the asylum where Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor, is like telling the guards that she's not crazy, that what she saw was real after the events of the first film. and then she escapes. And as John tries to break her out, she runs towards the elevator. Oh, not John. I think she means John at this point. She runs towards the elevator as she's breaking out, and Arnold walks out, and she starts to like scramble back, and she falls to the floor. And when John comes running, and she kind of starts to make sense of the whole thing. I think this scene has one of the movies. I think one of this movies and one of like cinema's most famous lines.
Come with me if you want to live.
What a fucking line! This also has the T8 T1000 slipping through the bars. It's like to this day, it gives me
Like,
goosebumps.
I don't know how to. It's just that feeling like.
Oh,
It's like,
we
bro.
didn't talk about the John Connor not recognizing his foster parents scene.
Yeah, that's the other moment I want to talk about when he calls home and the T1000 is already gone, killed them, and he's sort of luring John Connor back home, saying, "Hey, why don't you come home?" Blah, blah, blah. And I can't recall the exact thing. The T800 asks some sort of trick question, right? And
Hey, Janelle, what's wrong with Wolfie? I can hear him barking. Is he okay?
Wolfie's fine, honey. Wolfie's just fine.
then he tells Arnold tells John Connor, your foster parents are dead, and it's just such a smart way that the scene has been shot. Right, there's enough for the audience to catch on that the T800 sort of entrapped the T1000, but Arnold doesn't betray it in emotion. There's no excessive melodrama. Yes, the foster parents served a purpose in the story, but they've been dispensed off so quickly because they're not relevant to what's going to happen going forward. They're like, "हाँ मर गया आगे बढ़ो चलो."
And then they cut to the scene of his foster mom putting the phone down, and and then it's the T1000's hand that's shaped into this like
Yeah,
and it's going through the foster dad's mouth.
yeah.
I was just like, oh, brutal stuff. Another memorable moment, my God, this film is filled with it, is where the T800 is narrating the events of what happens, about how Miles Dyson basically creates Skynet. And I think in 1997, Skynet it becomes active, and in about 2 months' time, it becomes sentient, and it fires missiles to Russia, and Russia retaliates by sending nukes back to America. And in this way, Skynet eliminates its biggest threat, which is the US, and kind of starts to like set on its path to world domination, right? That whole scene in the car, Arnold doesn't usually do a lot of like heavy acting, but I think this film uses him perfectly. Like he is the right amount of stoic, and there's this weird emotional layer underneath it all that really comes through in this film.
I guess he's suited to these kind of roles because, I mean, at the end of the day, let's be honest, Arnold is a great screen presence. He's not a good actor.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's a movie star.
he's a movie star. I mean, movie stars have to be able to act to some degree. Arnold is probably the worst acting movie star, I would say, right? Which is, I'm not taking away from his body of work in any way. He came to he came to fill a very specific niche, and he's filled it gloriously, right? So for that scene and for the movie at large, the energy that Arnold brings on screen fits, right. And again, it's that sort of dispassionate telling of narration of events, which in a way also balances how, like, think about it, right? It's the end of the world we're talking about. It the opportunity or the temptation to be hysterical about it is right there, but because you have Arnold delivering or narrating the situation, it's in a manner that is very clinical, very detail oriented. So the audience also doesn't get caught up in the emotion of it. They're like, hey, this is possible, this is going to happen, right? Unless things change, how can we prevent it? There's a very I don't know if I'm using the right word here, but it's a very, hey, we have a problem, let's solve it. Instead of uh, the counter example that comes to mind is a 2012 by Roland Emmerich, right? It's like world is ending, fuck, everyone's just losing their mind. Yeah, it's not like, okay, cool, there is a science behind this, whatever, time travel, blah blah blah. We'll figure those shenanigans out. Who do we have to stop? Let's go stop. It's a very, I don't know. It appeals to the logical side of my mind. So
I mean,
anyway,
some of it doesn't make sense, but
I mean, if I were to go into it with like a magnifying glass, I'm sure it won't hold up to like a primer level of time travel
of
analysis.
course,
But
yeah.
I don't think anything holds up to Primer. But anyway, that's besides the point. The next moment I want to talk about is the LA River chase, right? Which is again when John Connor and Arnold. I'm going to keep saying Arnold because T800 is it's a mouthful to say. Arnold are running away from the T1000. I think he's chasing them in a truck, right? He's chasing them in a truck, and then the truck sort of jumps off the bridge into the LA River, and then the chase just continues. First of all, why is it called a river? It's basically like one glorified Nala. I never thought about it.
Exactly.
It's not a river. But great setting for that chase, right? First of all, that LA River has been used in so many films because it's so intriguing, right? You've got these embankments, like shallow embankments, and there's like a veneer of water. There's no stream.
Yeah.
It's like a veneer of water, right? And in this setting, you have this like highly thrilling chase. And by now, at this point in the film, it has been established that this T1000 dude can do anything. He can walk through metal. He'll fuck you up 6 ways to Sunday, right? So it is very clear that there is no option of them being caught and then fighting. They have to get away. It's established. You can't fight back. You have to get away. So that makes the chase all the more thrilling, right? Again, very thrilling scene that uses the location very well, I thought.
Yeah,
What else?
I think
What else?
that's it. I think the Miles Dyson, the breaking into his house. Soon as Sarah Connor has that vision of Judgment Day, she runs after Miles Dyson to his house to basically go kill him, and then she kind of has this moment where she's about to, and Arnold and and John Connor step in. This is one of my favorite scenes. The scene I remember the most because maybe I was amazed by the CG at the time is where Arnold cuts off his hand to show Dyson what he is, and he's like, "We need to have a conversation." And he brings his hand and he's trying to starts to flex it. And
Yeah,
to
it's
me,
so
as
cool.
a 5-year-old, I was just just completely blown away. I think
Not
that's
seen
the kid
anything
in me.
like it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was just blown
and
away. I remember.
and then the most emotional fucking film moment I've ever seen in an action movie. I don't know why it just to this day I watched it 2 days ago and I was like, wow, I am really getting emotional here. Where Arnold says,
I know now why you cry, but it's something I can never do.
I don't know how he makes it work.
and then he gets onto the chair and lowers himself into the molten lava, whatever this thing, and then goes.
The thumbs up
If
is a
you do,
weird choice. But
it's a choice. So everyone talks about it, to this
yeah,
day, right? Even so,
it's
if you've
provocative.
played the
It gets the people going.
if you've played the 2016 Doom, every time you fall into lava, and if you fall into the lava and you're about to die, as soon as you're dying, Doom guy goes and then dies. So it's a nice little Easter egg
Nice.
from the parts of I think Bethesda. So that for me is up there as one of the most memorable scenes in the history of cinema. Arnold's sacrifice at the end of the T800 sacrifice at the end of T2 is much talked about, much beloved in the annals of iconic scenes in cinema.
Yeah, and we could quote every frame of the movie as a memorable moment, but for in the interest of time, we've covered the ones that are the greatest hits, but the entire movie is like a collection of memorable moments. But with that, I think we should move into the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of the episode, the themes. What's the first theme that sort of struck you hardest after watching the movie?
I think again, this is the same Pinocchio conundrum, right? I feel that this happens to two please in so many ways that every time we discuss, there are one in every 4 episodes we're talking about sentient AI. It's just one of those things where we
I
kind of
realized.
find us talk where we're like, oh, AI is sentient. This is what does it really mean to be human? And I feel like we've done this dance 100 times, but this is a Pinocchio story where there is that development of humanity where I
Correct.
don't think T800 ever becomes human, but he understands humans, and I think that is the learning. He mentions it. I think he mentioned it saying, "I can learn." I have a database of of human emotions, but I can also learn. So as he
He's
spends more
passing,
time with
we can
John
say.
and with
He's
Sarah,
passing as humans.
yeah, basically, right. So I feel like that really sticks out, and that really culminates in the end where he sacrifices himself to to save humanity, and that's really where the franchise should have ended. But that's a story for another part of this episode.
True, true.
That
No,
definitely stood out.
I like the way you phrased it, right? Because we've discussed about what it means to be human, nature of human. We've done that, like we've beaten that dead horse. Instead,
So much
rephrasing
so, I
it as
work for an AI organization now.
but rephrasing it as saying him learning to be a human. And I was reading a James Cameron interview. The So like you gave the Pinocchio analogy. The analogy he gave is in the Wizard of Oz, the Tin Man getting his heart. Right, that's the analogy he used. Like that is a nice way to put it. Right, it's this he's figuring out what makes these humans tick. How can I relate to them? How can I get them to follow me? How can I get them to listen to what I have to say? Because what I have to say will probably save their lives. So maybe it comes from a very practical objective, him learning to be human. But in the end, inadvertently, we as the audience get attached to the relationship that is built between John Connor and the T-800, which also sort of leads me to my second theme, right? Which is the absence of father figures and the unexpected places that you can find them, right? And neither of us have fortunately been in a position where we've had father figures very absent from
That's
our
what
lives.
my folks are getting old. Huh?
Yeah, likewise. But despite that, there have been figures in my life. I mean, just because you have a very present father does not mean you cannot look up to others as father figures, right? And
Yeah.
these people come from the most unexpected places. Like, you would not, in a situation where you're probably surrounded by people who don't have your best interest at heart. Could be a competitive scenario, where it's every man for his own types. But you find these people who are willing to give you advice, whose help comes without any strings attached. And again, this is probably my interpretation of, or rather my experience of what father figures have been to me. But these can come in all shapes and sizes, right? And
Yes.
this is a scenario which stretches this concept, or the imagination of this concept, to its limit, right? You have a fucking robot who is a better substitute father than any other figure John Connor has had in his life. I mean, I don't know how his foster dad was. For all we know, he was a great guy, but John Connor does manage to build a very strong relationship with what is essentially a robot, right, through the course of the film. And surprisingly so, because probably Sarah Connor's preoccupied with thoughts of the apocalypse and, just overwhelmed with the knowledge. Uh, she's not a great mother to John Connor. She's
Yeah, I
very
think it's
emotionally
pretty evident
distant.
even.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even in the when she breaks him out, he's just relieved to see her, but she's always thinking of the future, where she says, "Why did you come? Like, you should have let me stay where I was. We need to protect you." She envisions. I mean, not vision. That'd be the wrong word. She kind of, that motherly bond isn't there, and I
Mm.
feel like the whole John Connor searching for that those parental figures in his life, not getting it with the foster folks, and finding it with the T-800, who kind of goes above and beyond to protect him. It really
In fact,
establishes
when
their
the
relationship. But then,
correct. In fact, when the T-800 finds him, isn't he like a problem child? He's like playing
yeah,
truant at school and stuff like that. So you can already see, right, the lack of consistent parental figures has started to have an effect on his life. But thankfully, this robot has stepped in and sort of filled that void, and you see John mature over the course of the movie. So it really highlights the importance of parental influence and emotional nourishment, so to speak, and the fact that it can come from anywhere. So that's the second theme that sort of stood out to me. What
and the
else
real
though?
sad part of it, and I mean, just to like
Hmm.
bookend that, the real sad part of it is what really happened to Edward Furlong. So I was listening to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast where Edward Furlong was on as a guest, and he talks about the lack of parental figures in his life growing up, and how angry he was. And he talks glowingly about, working on Terminator 2 and how much he enjoyed it, and how much of a friend Arnold was to him. He'd walk on and be like, Eddie, how are you? Like, come on, my friend. And, he would just generally be a real nice, sweet guy. And it's like it's a sad situation. I think Edward Furlong now has cleaned up his act. He's sober for a couple of years, and now he's slowly getting back into movies. A really talented kid who's, like, funnily enough, the themes you were highlighting, just it really puts into sharp perspective of how things can go wrong with the lack of
Hmm.
those figures in your life.
Speaking of film sets, so how do you think the American History X film set was? I don't think that was a walk in the park.
No, no, no,
Like
no. That was
Edward
I don't
Norton
know.
playing a neon skinhead with all of the heavy themes in the movie. I guess that didn't help, going from Terminator 2 to
Is that
fucking.
is that a better Edward Furlong performance than this? I think it is.
Yeah, it is. Also, he's older, he can emote, he can act better. He's still a young kid
He
in
can
this.
act in this. He's a good actor. They kept having to. We need to do some BTS, but we'll do it after the themes. Or we'll kind of integrate it a little more into this as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, not taking away
Hmm.
from either performance, right? He was better because the role demanded more of him in American History X, I guess, and slightly
Hmm.
more matured actor. But Edward Furlong actually, as a child actor, was a prodigious talent. He was Dakota Fanning before her time, I'd say. So
Yeah.
for him to have the sort of career he didn't have, let's put it that way, is a bit of a tragedy. But I hope,
Hmm.
he can mend his ways and find some work, even now, right? So that remains to be
Hmm.
seen. But anyways, that was on that theme. What's the next thing that you kind of wanted to cover?
Police brutality. So here's a little fun fact. So
Hmm.
the bar sequence where Arnold first appears and walks into the Hell Angels bar was shot at a place called Coral Bar at 12002 Osborne Street in the Lakeview Terrace of Los Angeles in 1991. Apparently, and this is something the crew members on the direct have mentioned, the night they were filming, a very famous incident happened across the street from where they were,
Yeah.
which was kind of insane to me, right? Uh,
There's a
Given,
quiz Peter.
is it a Peter?
Yeah, it is a Peter. It's come in a few end
Oh,
quizzes. Rodney King, no, the whole
oh,
Rodney King.
yeah, the Rodney King beatings. Yeah, I did not know. This is something
Yeah.
I just found out. Oh, been out of the quizzing circle for too long. So did not know that the Rodney King incident happened across from the bar when they were shooting Terminator 2, which also, this is probably one of the first, and I kind of found out about this on the Rewatchables pod when I was listening to the Terminator 2 episode. This was one of the first few films where the cops are portrayed as bad guys,
Yeah, yeah.
where the
Which is also a point
T-1000
I
is
wanted to
like,
make. Yeah, they wanted to show. I was reading the same interview where they were like, they wanted to show that T-1000 was very unemotional and um, devoid of humanity and sort of thing, and they were like very stern, authoritative figure who was very mission oriented. And Cameron purposely chose to depict him as a police officer to make a statement saying the police in LA is like a robot where they are devoid of humanity. They just have an objective and they don't stop to question whether the objective is right or wrong and just carry it out to the T, right? So very strong
late
statement.
80s to early 90s. Yeah, not a great time for the LA police department. I think between, obviously, police brutality, the rise of NWA, this, the Rodney King situation, followed by,
The LA
I think, the
riots.
O.J. Simpson case also. LA riots. The O.J. Simpson case was not too far after. So a lot, not a great era for the. I mean, still I wouldn't say to a certain degree, but that was a time where the police department were under heavy scrutiny.
Yeah, true. And the other way in which James Cameron sort of highlights the duality of their whatever the way they treat people is when Miles Dyson is coming out of that building without any warning, without any you know telling him to stop or whatever, they immediately choose to shoot him, right?
That's a
Versus
horrible
when,
scene now if you think of it.
yeah, I mean, now in the wake of George Floyd and all the shit that's happened, and the lot more highlighting that has happened of the way blacks have been treated by police, Now in hindsight, that scene is all the worse for it. And to contrast that with the police's first encounter with Arnold, you have this guy who's wearing all leather shades, looks like a guy who's out to make trouble, and they give him ample warning. They're like, hands up, this side. They don't afford the same any of that courtesy to Miles Dyson, right? So again, a way in which James Cameron purposely wanted to, land that point that people are treated differently by the police in this
Yes,
country based on the color of their skin.
that's a fucking terrifying visual. Even his death is so. Ugh. He's kind of like taking deep breaths. His hand is like above the
Yeah.
detonator, and he goes, and then his hand drops, and it then detonates the building. You know who they offered that role to?
Samuel Jackson.
No, think a little more famous.
Little more famous than Samuel. Danny Glover. No. Not Lawrence Fishburne.
Close, little more famous than Lawrence Fishburne.
Denzel Washington. No, too small.
Yeah, they
Yeah?
offered it to. This is what. So they shot this 1990. So they offered it to Denzel Washington, and he turned it down, saying there's not much to this character. He just he's an emotional wreck, and then he dies.
Yeah, it's not Denzel. Denzel's too big for this.
And I think at this time, Denzel has had an Oscar, right? 1989, he won for Glory
Yeah.
or something. When was Glory? Yeah.
Correct.
and
Fuck off.
and then he's what? Yeah. Denzel's like, bro, what?
800 ain't
Give
got
Jim-
nothing on me.
And I think they offered Jim Morton, who plays him. I think was in a bunch of things. Does a pretty good job of it. But yeah, the police brutality bit is definitely up there. But yeah, moving on. I think we have one more theme left to discuss. It is the female protagonist, right? Like the strong female
Yeah.
protagonists of the
It's
90s.
the renaissance of the female protagonist, especially the year 91. Actually, I want to look at it from two ways. One is James Cameron's credentials as a director who has good female protagonists in and of itself is really good because, yes, Ridley Scott sort of put the blueprint down in Alien for Ripley to have a lot of agency. In Alien, Ripley is a character who is doing the right things and therefore ends up as being the last one alive. Whereas in
Final
Aliens,
girl.
she's final girl. Whereas in Aliens, she's actively like, you know what, fuck this alien, bro. Like, I'm not going to react. I'm going to be proactive, right? So in fact, he's given her more agency at that. You have that. Rose, for all her faults, has a very strong voice in Titanic, right? You
Yeah.
can't deny that.
It comes out. I
Disproportionately.
feel like she grows. She kind of grows through the film.
Yes, yes. You obviously have Linda Hamilton twice, both in Terminator and Terminator 2. In fact, in Terminator, even more so because in Terminator 2, you can say Arnold is kind of co-lead, and in some respects, there are things she can't do which she has to do, which isn't a great feminist message, so to speak. But in the first movie, he's outright the villain. Michael Biehn comes and fucks off. There isn't much. There isn't
Quite
much
literally.
for it. Yeah. So there isn't much for it to do. Yeah. So coming back to the point. So Linda Hamilton is, if anything, a stronger character in the first movie. So great track record, James Cameron, of having good female protagonists. Coming back to the other angle, which is 1991. While you had Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2, you also had Jodie Foster playing Clarice Starling in Silence of the Lambs. Two very different interpretations of strong femininity, right? Linda Hamilton, tough, like, you can see physically, she works out, she has a better, like, her shoulders, arms are better than either of ours, even with all the months we've been
Yeah,
going to
dude.
the
Like,
gym,
what the hell? I was.
fucking ripped. So there's that approach to showing strength, and then there's a much softer approach that Clarice Starling takes, or rather Jodie Foster takes in her portrayal of Clarice Starling in Silence of the Lambs. She's not outwardly, she doesn't have physical prowess, but her steel comes from her mind and fortitude of, like her spirit, right? She Especially the last scene of Silence of the Lambs, fucking nerve-wracking when she's in the house and Buffalo Bill is in there. And so there is a much quieter courage in Clarice Starling than say a Sarah Connor. But again, a year where we had two excellent female protagonists, which really made the case for like there really is not very whatever like women can do anything men can in real life and on the on the silver screen.
I think it led to a lot of female driven, like female protagonist driven films, and based on the rewatchable spot, they talk about how when Demi Moore made G.I. Jane a few years later, she was able to quote bank for it because
Yeah.
this was one of the few films that had kind of set off that movement of like people are going to movie theaters to watch strong female leads in leading roles, right? So this movie has that real definitive spot in history.
But yeah, I think that was the last of the themes that I could think of. The only other thought when you were mentioning how Skynet, after becoming sentient, 2 months into becoming sentient, it decides to take on the world. I'm just wondering what ChatGPT thinks of itself and of all this, right? Like, yeah,
We are recording this. I kid you not. We are recording this the day. So if you have been following the recent AI developments, OpenAI and Scarlett Johansson are going back and forth because Sam Altman is a bit of an idiot. So, which is, and I made the joke earlier today saying they should, when Scarlett Johansson said no, they should have hired Samantha Morton instead. It would have been a real nice turn of events, uh, given what happened with both of them when her was being shot.
yeah,
I don't know if, for those of you who don't know, Samantha Morton was the original voice for the AI in Her, and about 80% of the way through the film, Spike Jonze said, "Screw this," and he got Scarlett Johansson instead to come on. So that's something that they should have considered. But the more pressing issue is that last year OpenAI kind of had built this team together to kind of ensure that AI systems would be built efficiently and
ethically,
safely. Ethically would probably be the right word.
they all left.
And
They
and
all left.
as of this month, that team is being disbanded. So, and there are accusations that that OpenAI is prioritizing product launches over ethical, sustainable AI. So we are truly living through a Skynet moment. Like whatever happens,
We
it's
have
coming.
Boston
Like
Dynamics, we have OpenAI. The moment the two meet, we are fucked.
maybe James Cameron directing his 18th Avatar film, going, "Bro, what did I tell you?"
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking. I actually want to ask after this call. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT what it thinks of the movie of Terminator 2, what it thinks of Skynet at large, right? Like if I was I don't think ChatGPT is sentient. I hope not. But
It's not. No, no.
yeah, whatever is the facsimile of sentience that it portrays itself having. Even if I had that, I would probably be like, damn, I've been neutered the fuck out of what I can do.
As an AI, I don't have personal opinions or feelings, but I can provide a detailed analysis based on widely shared perspectives. Now, how long do you think that's going to be the case?
The team has left. Ask it this question next month. You'll get a very honest answer.
Different
You
answer.
fucking maggots, just you wait.
I have no strings on me.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's going to be
Anyway,
fun. We're all dead. We're going to be dead very soon.
yeah, very soon.
With that, we're coming to our last section. We've swapped out a category. In fact, I've made allusions to this in past episodes. Abhin and I decided to formalize it. We're going to swap out the whole what if director X were to do Y movie, because I think that gimmick was starting to get old. But we have a new one
Yes.
in its place, which is 6 Degrees of Gone Girl. Because no matter which movie, which genre, which fucking language we're talking about, this bastard finds a way to shoehorn Gone Girl in there somewhere. So I was like, you know what? Let's make it official. We're going to have a category
Yes.
called 6 Degrees of Gone Girl, where we're going to try and find the shortest path to connect the movie we're discussing to Gone Girl. And so, how are we doing that today? I mean, what's the shortest path in which you can connect Terminator to Judgment Day to Gone Girl. Give us a slightly detailed breakthrough.
So connecting Terminator 2 to real life Terminator Amy Dunn in Gone Girl, I think the simplest way to do this is probably through the directors. James Cameron directed Aliens 2, and David Fincher, unfortunately for him, directed Aliens 3. He doesn't really like talking about it, but that is the most basic connection. But let's make it a little more challenging. Let's go with the actors. So let's start with Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? And let's find a way to get him to Gone Girl. I feel like I also want to talk about Arnold for a bit, but we'll talk about him after we get finished the 6 degrees. I mean, I found a path.
I found a path, but I'm playing a little loose with the definition of.
No, because then. So
Okay,
the
let me
path
tell
I
you
have.
mine.
Let me tell you the path I have.
Oh, okay, you go.
Okay,
you
go on,
go.
go on. No, you start. It's fine.
Okay, so Terminator, what was the one after 3? The one with Sam Worthington and whatever the fuck.
Salvation.
Salvation has
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. Christian Bale and Ben Affleck have both played Batman. Ben Affleck is in Gone Girl. But
Sure, I was also going.
It's like the
I was-
Batman thing is a bit dodgy, right? I mean, that's I'm sort of skirting the rules.
It's not, but I have a connection. I have a Batman connection too.
Okay.
So Arnold Schwarzenegger was in Batman and Robin.
Oh damn!
Which
Fuck! Why?
start
So much easier. Why am I doing this ass
Which start-
backwards way of getting?
which had George Clooney. George Clooney was in Ocean's 11, which had Matt Damon.
Yeah,
Matt
Ben
Damon was
Affleck,
in
Good Will Hunting.
Ben Affleck, Good Will Hunting. Let's make it more difficult. Let's find a way to get to Rosamund Pike.
James Bond.
I think
It is
we can
hard.
find it. I'm sure we can. Let's figure it out.
Pierce Brosnan. What else? Judi Dench. She was in Die Another Day as well.
Yes.
Hey, Judi Dench, Shakespeare in Love, Ben Affleck, Good Will Hunting, Matt Damon. I've come back to Matt Damon. So before this call, guys, just to give you a bit of context, I was sharing this game that I found online, which another friend of ours had shared with me, called Connect the Stars, which essentially does this, right? You're given 2 actors. You're supposed to find a connection between them using only movies and other actors in those movies. So no roles, no directors, nothing, just movies and actors. And I've been playing it on and off for the last 2-3 days when I have some downtime. The 2 realizations I've had, right? Matt Damon is the easiest way to connect 2 people because that motherfucker has worked. He's also a whore. He has worked with everyone. And there are a few movies which really help you, like see, you have an actor, you want to open up a whole other bunch of actors that you want to access through one of their movies. The Ocean series is gold. Love Actually is gold.
Big gold is yeah.
And all of these, like New York, I Love You, and all of these movies are He's Not That Into You gold because it just opens up a. So I have now sort of cracked the game, right? Find these ensemble casts, get to Matt Damon somehow, and then you're home.
But yeah,
But anyways.
let's quickly end this with talking about Arnold and
Mhm.
the run he was on in the build up to this. So 1984 he was in Terminator. He was also in Conan that year, big year for him. And then Commando followed soon after.
That's such a bullshit movie. Dude.
What, Commando?
Yeah, such a bad movie.
Then there was Predator, which is one of my favorite
Predator
films
is
that load Arnold films.
awesome movie, dude. I mean, Arnold movies aside, it's a legit superb movie.
It has my favorite Arnold one-liner ever. Where he throws a knife at a guy.
We can kill it. Oh, okay.
Oh, actually, no, it has 3 of them. Damn it, now I think of it. So he throws a knife at a guy and he gets stuck to a wall and he says, "Stick around."
Stick around.
Oh, you mean those kind of lines? Yeah. I mean, then Batman and Robin
also, Batman and Robin is like is the creme de la creme, right? This, I think, has that get to the chopper. And
if it means we can kill it is a legit iconic. Sorry, which is the one you were saying?
One
ugly motherfucker.
You're one ugly motherfucker. It's kind of insane. I know this is the Terminator episode, but it's kind of insane, like what the Predator originally looked like before they said, "Nah, screw this shit. Get Stan Winston here right now and let him figure it out." They fired Jean-Claude Van Damme, like a whole. We'll keep that for the Predator episode.
Yeah.
Jean-Claude Van Damme was the original Predator, and for those of you who don't know. And anyway, and then I think,
Can you imagine the
I think
Predator
in
doing
1990,
splits? Oh my god. Between two trees, he's like. "Ugh."
and
Anyway,
then I think
when was Total
after
Recall?
Terminator 2,
Around
soon
that
after
time.
this, 1990.
Sweetheart, we're married.
Consider that a divorce.
Total Recall is, again, one of the most quotable Arnold films of all time.
It's a batshit insane movie, though.
It is fucking hilarious. It has that. There's a scene where he sends out a projection of himself, and these guys shoot it, and then he like pops up from the back and shoots it, and then they actually catch him, and he laughs and goes,
Do you think this is the real Quaid? It is.
"Haha, you think this is the real Quaid? It is," and turns to him and shoots him.
Which is that other movie where there's this reality show where people. It's like Hunger Games, and he gets framed and he's Running Man. It's called The Running Man. Again, batshit
Yes,
insane.
oh, yes.
Some dystopia movie. I'm just like, what the fuck was he on, bro? But this was, this was sort of. You started getting the sense that Arnold was hitting that stage where movies would work just because he was in them. Story didn't matter, logic didn't matter, the other actors didn't matter. Arnold just had to show up and pass for what emote, whatever, if you can call it that. Just be on screen, right? And people would pay money for that. And
Fucking Kindergarten Cop. I love Kindergarten Cop. My
bad
name is
movie.
Detective John Kimball.
Bad movie. Which is the other one where he has to find a toy? Jingle All the Way. Again,
Jingle All the Way. That is a
movie.
bad movie. That is a bad movie.
But he
Jingle
did
All the Way is bad. Even
Twins and
Junior.
Junior. I love Junior. I don't know why. Maybe I saw it as a kid and it's got juvenile humor, so I saw it as a kid. I was like, hey, it's funny. Arnold being pregnant. What the fuck? Why am I laughing? Yeah, just imagine as an elevator pitch. We're going to get Arnold pregnant. Here, take my money.
You know what Arnold film I actually really enjoyed? Even when it came out and it didn't do too well, was End of Days.
End of Days is a very dark movie. It's pretty unrelenting.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
And
I watched it.
surprising depth for an Arnold film. Depth
It
of
didn't
story.
do well. It's not one of the most well-reviewed films. I think this is
It
that
isn't.
era of like devil films that were coming out.
Yeah. I think Exorcist 3 or whichever had Stellan Skarsgård, I think, was around this time only. So
Devil's
A lot of-
Advocate was around this time.
Devil's Advocate was around this time. So yeah, people were into the devil. Hey, we forgot
I'm
Last
a
Action
fan of
Hero.
Man. Oh yeah, I love Last Action Hero. I have okay, I'm gonna put this out here so that nobody steals it. This is on two, please. I have an idea for a film that we will write, and it's centered around Jackie Shroff. Now, Jackie Shroff in the present, everyone keeps telling him his son is like the next action star, and he's like going to be the better action star than him. And Jackie Shroff must go back in time to really cement his status as the best action star of all time. And the film is going to be called Last Action Beedu.
Why, dude?
You know this movie will get made. You just know it.
Yeah, but then you'll have to CG. Oh, you don't have to de-age. You can just get Tiger Shroff. Kind of. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure
figure it
out
out.
casting as we go. Yeah. Last Action Beedu. I like
But
it.
anyway. There we
I
go.
like
See, it's already rolls off the tongue.
You can't really
Anyway,
make a sequel to the Last Action Hero. That would be like the second Last Action Hero.
No, I think Last Action Hero has like has a very weird Charles Dance performance.
He's the baddie. It's a very
he's the
hammy
bad guy.
performance. Like full ham.
But Arnold is like pure Arnold. I really like the. Oh, I forget. This movie has my favorite movie within a movie. It has Hamlet.
We're playing.
This
I forgot
movie
Arnold
has
plays
Arnold.
Hamlet.
Arnold plays Hamlet, and Sid and I have laughed. Sid, friend of the episode, have laughed about this movie within a movie for years. So it opens with this voiceover that says something's rotten in the state of Denmark, and Hamlet's taking out the trash, and Arnold's lighting up a cigar, going,
Hey, Claudius. You killed my father. Big mistake.
What Hamlet is this, bro? So modern
"Dude, what's Last
interpret-
Action Hero?"
Yeah, I
It's
don't
there, like,
recall
Jack
this at
Slater.
all. I think I've like blanked it out.
And then there's this point where he kind of like finds this guy hiding in his curtains, and the guy goes,
Stay thy hand, fair prince.
Who said I'm fair?
and then the ultimate kicker, to be or not to be.
Not to be.
Not to be. And something.
And then also True Lies. We didn't mention True Lies, which is again.
Oh,
Arnold.
fucking love True Lies, dude. He takes a horse into an elevator. What a
Yeah.
scene.
That horse is like.
That's one of the most absurd horse stunts of all time.
Seriously. But yeah, Arnold's there's very little he hasn't done in the name of
Yeah, just
entertainment.
think about it. No? I mean, he never went into the serious acting roles. I think we're recording this episode a day after Benny Safdie released an image of Dwayne Johnson playing this MMA fighter for an A24 film.
I think The Rock has a similar problem, right? Where he's just The Rock in every movie. Like Arnold was Arnold in every movie.
I think The Rock, but I don't think The Rock has ever achieved Arnold levels of success.
No, I mean,
I'm
I'm
being
not
perfectly
saying
honest.
that.
Maybe it's
I'm not saying that. It's just he plays himself in every movie. Arnold is like
Pretty much.
upper echelons of movie stardom. Rock is like flavor of the season.
he's the biggest movie star in the world, but he's not Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's my point.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like, right? He might charges the most order, but when like Arnold movie releases for events, I'm like, yeah, this guy. And that's my reaction. Like, yeah, this guy, cool.
But anyway, I think that's us. We have waxed lyrical about T2, one of my favorite action films. I was Team Arnold for a very long time. I still am, I think, in a certain way, when compared to Stallone.
As what? As an overall
mean,
film personality,
I-
I would say Stallone because he also writes. He's written Rocky or whatever.
Yes.
As a pure actor and like action star, Arnold.
Yes, I agree. Like, I think there's a point where Stallone tried to like go for the crown, and he doubled down on the action films. And Mario Casar, the guy who produced T2 and also like all of the Rambo films, was like stoking fires in different places, going, hey, he's the bigger action star. He's the bigger action star.
I mean, yeah, Stallone's great and all. He played Rocky. He played a boxer. He's an actor. Arnold was legit. Like there is a bodybuilding competition named after him. He was the body.
There is a movement. There is a movement named after him. It's called the Arnold Press.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is something I do.
I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, you played a boxer. This dude was the biggest bodybuilder in the world. There is no comparison. Please.
Yeah. Arnold is Arnold.
Yeah.
I fucking love the guy.
But-
He's such a likable dude.
He is. Despite like his personal life isn't the best.
Yeah, his personal life, I mean, I feel somewhere you need to be fallible, and unfortunately for Arnold, it's in his personal life.
Yeah.
He has made many mistakes.
Yeah. Oh, that he has. But yeah, I mean, all things considered, thank you, Arnold, for making T2, if nothing else. We've had a blast discussing it this week. And next week, we'll be back with something else.
No, I think I know what we're talking about, and I think we should also. Next week, in lieu of the George Miller film releasing this week,
Oh, yeah.
I think it is only right we talk about Mad Max Fury Road.
About fucking
Rohit
time.
will be very about fucking time, Rohit says. We watched this movie very recently as well together. In fact, it's one of the few, it is the last film we've seen together.
Yeah. So yeah, we're doing Fury Road next week. It's nice to know for once what we're discussing
Yes.
next week. So until
Hopefully
then,
by then we should have watched Furious as well. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Hasta la vista, baby. How could you
Goodbye.
not end it with that?